Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network.
You make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven.
A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UBNradio.com.
She's passionate about telling stories of amazing women who are rocking the world and empowering women to live, love, and thrive. Here's your host, Katherine Gray.
Welcome to Live, Love, Thrive Women's Empowerment Hour, brought to you by 360 Karma. We're so happy to have you with us today. We hope that you have liked us on Facebook and you're following our conversation on Instagram and Twitter at My360Karma. And today, as always, we have on extraordinary women. I'm so excited to finally have on the director of Catch One, my pal C.Fitz. She's an amazing director, and the subject of that documentary, who is here with us today as well, and that would be Jewel Tice Williams. We are so excited to have her here, and they are going to soon be on Netflix. We're here to talk about celebrating that. Please give a warm welcome to Jewel and to Fitz. Hi, guys. How are you?
How are you? Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I've been wanting to have you all on for the longest time. I'm so excited that the film is now going to be on Netflix. Yay!
Yay, we did it.
Yes,
Thank you, Array. Thank you, Ava DuVernay.
Absolutely. Ava's new company that's really championing women and minorities. Array is so needed and so timely, and we're so happy for them. In fact, I was telling you, I just joined Array Now as a rebel.
Yes.
And people need to go to their website, arraynow and .org, and also sign up as rebels.
Join
and
in, find out what
become
they're doing.
part of this movement that
amazing
Ava
work.
DuVernay has started. Yeah, she's such an amazing director, and we love the work that she's doing. You know, my show is always about women that are paying it forward and giving back. So what a perfect topic today. Talk about paying it forward and giving
Perfect
back.
subject.
Oh my gosh. Jewel Tice Williams, you are amazing. I've seen this beautiful documentary, Fitz. I know it's been 8 years of labor, and as a documentary filmmaker, I know how much really blood, sweat, and tears goes into creating a documentary, and it's a long haul. But it's so nice when you get to this point where you're taking it around the country for screenings. You now just got this distribution on Netflix, and then it makes it all worth it, right?
It does.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it covers 42 years
of
Jewel's work and life. So it took a while to process and to create.
Yeah, I don't know how you did that, actually. That was very... you know, you're such a talented director, producer, and it definitely takes a gift to be able to do that, to tell 4 decades in, what is it, an hour, a little over an hour?
85 minutes.
85 minutes, which is just perfect. It was such a riveting and great film. I just loved it. It really, you know, you got to know Jewel through this film, and you are just, I call you you're like a Mother Teresa. You are definitely an earth angel. You have helped so many people, and we're going to talk more about the film. First, I want to talk about your journeys to get to where you are. Fitz, I know you were born in Connecticut and raised in Massachusetts, right? So you're an East Coast girl.
Connecticut and Massachusetts.
Yeah, beautiful areas. And, you know, being in the business of being a showrunner and being a producer director, that of course brought you to Los Angeles, which perfect fit, right?
Right.
And I know that you've worked on a lot of programs, reality shows and various TV programs and movies, and we're here today, of course, to talk about this specific one, Catch One. But just to give the audience an idea, you're really a content creator, and so you've done that from everything from commercials to documentaries to now social media. I know recently for Star Wars movie, right?
Yeah, I do promos, all kinds of content, because it's right now in this day and age, content is everywhere and on all different platforms, whether it be movies, documentaries, series, social media. And social media really is our way now of commercials. of
Yes.
promoting films. So I
Right.
do a little bit of that as well,
It
and
is.
social media management, and just getting out the message and getting out the voice.
Yeah. And Jewel, I know your background is that you grew up of little means. You had 7 children in your family, and everybody slept in one bed. Oh my gosh.
Well, not quite. There were actually 3 beds. There was,
Oh, 3 beds. Okay. 7 people, 3 beds.
In one bedroom.
And 1 bedroom.
Yeah, there
Oh,
was,
wow.
the
Yeah.
3 girls slept in one bed, and the 3 guys slept in another bed.
Yeah.
That's in one bedroom.
But it
And
was
then-
definitely a small quarters
Oh,
and a
yeah.
lot of people and a
for
challenge.
yeah. Prior to that,
Yeah.
when we made the migration from Chicago, or Gary, which is where I was born, to San Diego,
Yeah.
we stayed with my aunt, with my grandmother all the way there. Anyway, it was a total of 23 people living in a 2-bedroom house.
Oh my gosh. Wow. 23 people. And so what did you learn from that experience? I know that you were like working at 9 years old. You all had, I believe, Fitz shared with me, you had a grocery store. And that at 9 years old, you would like run the grocery store on your own, which is incredible. But it created a great work ethic, right?
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
You know, my folks were just a couple of generations maybe removed from slavery, so the whole idea of working, unless you were resting, was pretty much what your life was to be about.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Are you finally resting a little bit?
Never.
A little bit?
I allow myself on occasion, but there was no such thing as leisure time. You know, we did get to play on Sunday afternoons and have a little time with that, but it was either church or work, school.
Yeah.
That was pretty much the way it was, and we accepted it, and I am grateful for having had that kind of upbringing, and today be able to look back on my life and say, wow, you know, I did fill up a few minutes doing things.
People probably say the same thing to you that they say to me, which is, you know, because I'm always in action doing things. And, you know, people be like, oh, my gosh, you're always doing something. But I think you, like all of us, the 3 of us, derive a lot of joy in the creating and doing things that are giving back and making a difference, right? We get a fulfillment from it.
Sure.
By helping people.
Yeah, I call it the boomerang effect, you know, that what I put out, then I get back, and it might not be like to some people an even trade-off or whatever, but the joy that I feel in my heart and in my spirit to know that because of some of the things that we just talked about in my growing up, I'm able today, you know, at 79, to not even think about retiring, maybe slowing down a little bit. But as long as there is a need, and there will always be one of some type or the other, and somewhere any and all of us can make a little difference in someone's life. And you know, I end up being the subject of a documentary, but if you can just do small acts of kindness and not tell anybody about it, then that's when it becomes personal to you.
Right.
When you can, you know, go to bed at night and say,
Yeah,
well,
it's not an ego thing.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Well, I want to talk about this film and your journey. So, for 40 years, you had this club, and I understand the beginning of it was that it was a tough time in the country with a recession, and you had closed up a clothing store.
Yes.
So you were always an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And you bought the Diana Club and renamed it Catch One. Is that right?
Well, I didn't rename it myself to Catch One. It was the Diana's Club when I bought it.
Yeah.
And being slightly on the frugal side, I saw this beautiful Diana sign out of neon, Art Deco, that was already on the side of the building, so why change it?
Yeah.
You know, that was my opinion.
Yeah.
But my younger sister and my then lover thought differently, and one day after about 3 or 4 years, they packed me up, and my sister gave me the ticket. She said, the Carla C is sailing from Miami the next day or two, and here's your ticket, here's your everything. you just go. And when I came back, they had changed the name of the Diana to Jules Room. So
Oh my God!
that's how that happened.
So Jules Room, but so when did it become Catch One?
Catch One came a couple of years later when I was able to purchase the building, which included a mammoth ballroom upstairs.
Wow!
And it was called the Diana Ballroom. And so, not having the Diana involved in the downstairs anymore, we named it Catch One, and then the same two people put Jules in front of Catch One.
I love it. So it was called Jules Catch One.
Yes.
Yeah. And so people that aren't familiar with it, this was like the Studio 54 of the West Coast. And but it was so much more than that. It was a time when you had this when the AIDS crisis came about. And I know that it was a safe refuge for gays, blacks, and really everybody. A lot of celebrities came. You could share some of them with me. I know Madonna, Sylvester.
Sharon Stone.
Velma
Houston. Chaka Khan used to go there and
Yeah.
dance.
Yeah, and so it just was such a famous place. So smart of you as a woman then to purchase the property.
And
Yeah.
brave.
Yeah,
Very
and brave. In fact, how did you even do that? Because back then, women couldn't even get loans or credit cards. How did you do that?
You're
I
right.
think you touch on it
Yeah.
in the film.
Yeah, for the whole 42 years that I was there, and I never got a loan that wasn't what we call hard money loan.
Yes.
To go to some lending person, and they charge you exorbitant
Right.
rates.
So you did creative financing.
Yeah, somewhat. and then things would just show up. I can't even explain some of it.
Yeah, I
how
just
it
think if
did.
you have a vision, it's like when they say, if you have a will, there's a way.
Right.
And you were just determined to have this club, and because you knew it was so important to people, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Even though this movie didn't come out until later, when I got the clinic, it was in full bloom then, and that was, if you build it, they will come.
Right.
So it was incumbent upon me to build it
Yes.
then and expect folks to come. And this was the idea, like I said, even though it was pre the movie, if you build it, they will come, that I just knew if I could get it off the air, not if I could get it off the air, but when it would get off
Yes.
the ground, rather.
Yeah.
And that people would come.
Yeah. Was it a vision for you? Was it like, I know if I do this, they'll come? Did you feel confident, like that there was a need?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I first opened up just the downstairs, it had been a supper club back in the 20s and 30s.
Oh, wow.
And just as the upstairs, the Diana Ballroom had been the big ballroom, that area, which included Country Club Street, and that was the outskirts of town at one time. It was where Beverly Hills, today would have ended. So that's where they had the big ballroom. They had the Forum, which was right across the street, that provided plays, etc. So I had heard some of the stories and had direct input from customers of mine that this place had been very racist and did not make it easy for them to come into. And then I had the opportunity of meeting Ella Fitzgerald, who used to sing there. She and Nat King Cole and a lot of other people,
Wow.
big bands used to play upstairs in the night. So the success was already built in.
I see. So people are already familiar with the location and these famous performers.
They weren't there then.
Yeah.
but the essence of them was still
that's
there.
what I mean.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. So
It
'cause
made
there
them
was
familiar
nobody
with the
there,
location.
basically.
Yeah. So then you restarted it as this disco club, reinvented it, right? And then
Yes.
I noticed also in the film, you definitely in the 70s, 80s were faced with all these racial obstacles. I mean, big time. They really tried to close you down, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was definitely an obvious effort. To anybody.
But nobody was stopping you. That's what makes the film so great.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, Fitz. In fact, when I first met you, you said, I'm working on this documentary, Catch One. It was a famous club, blah, blah, blah. I thought, oh, that's nice, but not really realizing just how game-changing this club was. And let's talk a little bit about that and why and how you got involved in this project.
Well, I got involved in 2010. I met Jewel. And I was going to do a short subject video on her. And the first day I met her, I was like, wow. Right? Yeah. I mean, there's the club, which I was enamored by and all its history. And then there's Jewel. And there's just so much in all the work that she had done. And she was standing in her clinic as well. So there was just so much to pack in. And I said, we have to do a documentary on you. We have to try. Yeah. I didn't know how I was going to do it. And that was the beginning of starting the documentary. That very first day, because she said, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah. Well,
and so we started it, and it was game changing what she did and all she faced.
Yes.
And just keep standing up and opening those doors.
Yeah.
And not every night was successful, but she opened it again because there was that need. They needed a place to go. And for so many people, different types of people.
Yes.
Catch became a home. She made it a home. She made it a place that everybody was welcome. That's the difference between Studio 54 and Jewel's Catch One, is she allowed everybody in. Everyone was allowed to come in.
Yeah.
And that was game-changing at that time.
Yes.
And continued to be so until...
It was like a family there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
She was like the mama.
Mama Bear.
Yeah.
It was like a big Cheers bar.
Yeah.
With a lot of dancing and great music.
Yeah.
Great
and
music.
Lots and lots of names of people that came, that met people. And
because everybody loves great music, great people, and
Yeah.
a great experience.
And that was important in the documentary, too.
Yes.
Because it was healing.
Yeah.
And music's always healing. And we put a lot of music in it so everybody would want to, see it and then learn about Jewel's story.
Right.
And then learn from there and be inspired.
Be inspired. Like, if she can do it, so can we. And
Right.
Yeah, I think that's important to tell
Do a
people
little bit,
stories
at
for
least.
that reason. And as a documentary filmmaker myself, I know how difficult it is. I mean, it was a long journey. Like you said, you didn't know how you were getting the funding, you didn't know how you were doing it, and it took many years to make this happen. But as you said, it culminated at the right time, because then after 42 years, you sold the club, and that's kind of what happens in the closing of this. But you also, at the same time, went back to school, studied Chinese medicine, and opened this health foundation. Was it Village
Health Foundation.
Yeah.
And that was so important to me, too, because...
which is a nonprofit.
I thought the 40th anniversary was going to be the ending of the film. That sounds like a great ending, right?
Yeah.
40 years. But I really wanted to shine a light on Jewel's work at the clinic, her nonprofit health clinic at the time. And I didn't know how I was going to get there. So the unfortunate news that she was selling it in 2015 was actually a better ending, because she now... has built this Village Health Foundation that she works to this day, where she's healing people in different ways, and that was so important to me. It was a perfect ending.
With holistic ways, right? Like acupuncture, Reiki, this type of thing.
It's based on traditional Chinese medicine. So we use all of those modalities, and also do a lot of advocacy work, which is really, really important.
Right. And you give people in that neighborhood an opportunity to have free services that they otherwise wouldn't have.
Well, it's not quite like that anymore.
Oh,
well, when I sold the building, I also sold the space where the clinic was, and
gotcha.
And going from not having to pay any rent at all or any notes, because everything was kind of paid for then, to having to pay rent, lease the space, and then.
Well, let me ask you this. At this age, you're still running this Village Health Foundation.
Yes.
What perpetuates that?
It's a lot like the same thing. I guess it kept me going with the club. There's so much abuse going on in the mainstream medical system. And of course, the African Americans are the ones that are being abused mostly by it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, after a certain age, 35 or 40, you go to most of these doctors, the HMOs, or a lot of them, I won't say most of them, but a lot of them, and they're going to get blood pressure medication, they're going to get high cholesterol medication, and they're going to get diabetes medication.
Mm-hmm.
And that wouldn't be bad if it's just one of each, but several times it might be
Right.
lots of each one of those things
Right.
that, and in addition to just whatever comes out new.
So you keep this open to perpetuate a holistic approach.
That's right.
Yeah.
And educate one more time, you know, the necessity of one finding out about what is happening to them.
Right.
And you don't get high blood pressure just out of the blue, but you know, how many times can you ask a person? Most of the time today, they don't even know what their blood pressure is.
Right.
They don't even know what their
Yeah.
cholesterol is.
What I love about you is you're always a visionary. You always are fulfilling a need. First, you were fulfilling the need with the club, and we didn't mention much too about that the spread of HIV at that time was
Yeah, she went through the AIDS
an issue,
crisis.
and those people had nowhere to go. Nobody wanted them, and everything. And you really took them in and gave them a place to go, and that was really a huge crux of your giving back.
And
now,
started funding through the club. It was more than just a club. It was
Yeah.
a space to organize
Right.
and raise funds for that community that was
right,
neglected.
and I know you were involved with a lot of nonprofits that help people in
The
that way.
Minority AIDS Project,
Right.
and Ruth's House, and I was on the board of directors of APLA for 6 years too. And when
In
I
your
was-
downtime.
Well, in my downtime in 1981, I opened a club in Houston also.
Oh, my
So-
gosh.
And this
Wow.
was about, well, it wasn't about, it was at the same time that the AIDS crisis really started to spread. So
And all
I
these
had
people
it
would have had
going
nowhere
for
to go if it wasn't for you and your club and all the things that you brought to. I mean, you fed these people. It wasn't just a dance club. That's what my point is. It
Yeah.
was just so much more.
It was a space, a
Yeah.
safe space, and that's what really resonates through the story is that creating our own space even today in whatever way we can. Lots of people, fortunately, through Jewel, had Catch One to call their home, and we need to create our own spaces and make sure we're looking after everybody in different ways.
Yeah, it's a good model, isn't it? Yeah, for now. And then with the Village Health Foundation, now, once again, you're a visionary, seeing their need in the communities that have less, that they don't have access to Eastern medicine, and that you're bringing that to that community, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, she could have moved anywhere, but she
Yeah,
moved
or
next
retired.
door, stayed in
Yeah.
her community.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So what's next?
is to get more people interested in taking care of their own health and
I
not
love that.
putting, all their...
It's obviously working for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Not putting their lives in the hands of doctors. If I have to go to a doctor, then I'm going to do some research.
Yes.
And I'm going to try to find out what it is, what
Yeah.
the possibilities, anyway,
Absolutely.
of having that. And oftentimes, it's not spelled out, in conventional ways, so you have to dig a little deeper.
Yes.
The internet offers any kind of information, practically,
Yeah,
that one
sure
would
does.
want.
Yes.
And so
Good and bad, so you have to be careful of that.
right, but that's why we're there, and other people
Yeah.
like us is to
Yeah.
filter it then.
Yes, and it's villagehealthfoundation.org, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so people can find it online, and they can look for Catch One on Netflix.
Jules Catch One, yeah.
Yeah, and it's available now.
It is available now,
my
and we
gosh.
also have a U.S. tour. We're going to be in Boston and Los Angeles.
Oh,
And
exciting!
So we're hitting these different cities. You can find out about that schedule at arraynow.org too as well.
Great. ArrayNow.org and VillageFoundation.org, two
Right.
great
And we're-
organizations and movements.
Yeah.
We're always in need of funding and volunteers too,
Yes.
because it doesn't take very long to go through your nest egg when you're spending out,
Yes.
thousands of dollars a month on keeping it open. So
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing
let's
you're
make
doing.
this a community effort. And,
Absolutely.
and have everybody. That's what it was founded upon, a community effort. I was hoping that we could do this where people that had funds would come in and pay for somebody else. And initially, it was kind of like that. They would
Oh, I love
say,
that
"Here,
idea. I love that idea.
Put this on the books for someone that can't
Yeah.
afford to pay." And then, in time, as time got tougher, I guess, for everybody else, then that's dwindled down
I think
to
you should
nothing.
bring that back. That sounds awesome. I saw the other
I
day
think
you can buy
They
a.
should bring it back.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
willing.
yeah.
I'm giving it now.
Yeah.
Everything that I have.
Go over there and get some services and pay it forward, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I love
That's right.
that. Well, you two are definitely paying it forward with all the work you're doing with Catch One and this tour, and I hope
We
people
hope it
can-
inspires some people. I mean, just by
Absolutely.
watching Jules work for
Oh.
42 years and watching the film and being entertained with all the wonderful music in it and story. But people
I
leave
loved
the
it.
theater and they're just like, they want to do something
Energized.
else in their backyard. Like Joel was
Yes.
saying, just do a little bit. And you don't have to be loud about it. You
Yeah.
can just do a little bit, help your neighbor.
and it has that ripple effect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure
One
does.
one lady the other night when I was in Hawaii at a screening, and she was middle-aged, straight white woman, and I ran into her the next day, and she said, "You've encouraged me to start back to school."
Oh, I love that.
She said, I thought that I was too old, but then when I heard you say that you were 56 when you started a new career. So, that was very heartwarming.
I love that.
Let me know that in even, I guess, a broader sense than I had realized, which I didn't ever realize this while I was doing it, trust me.
And you know
was
what? It's
just
always
about
so
doing the
fun to
work,
have live
it's like-
screenings where you actually get the audience feedback, and it's a beautiful thing, right?
It is.
Well, thank you both so much
Thank
for
you,
the work
Catherine.
you're doing. Thanks for being on. I hope people will catch Jules Catch One on Netflix or at a live screening to meet these two amazing women. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be on again next week, Wednesdays at noon. Be sure to follow us at 360karma.com. Make it a great week, and be sure to pay it forward. Thanks so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Catherine.
you.
Hugs
Thank
and
you.
happiness.